Hi, I'm Peter Tragos, host of the Lawyer You Know podcast and YouTube channel. The saying goes, everyone hates lawyers until you need one. Well, I'm here when you need one to answer your questions and give you insight that you didn't know you needed. Along with my partners, Pete Sardis, the professor, who has a finance and business background, and George Tragos, my dad, and the consigliere, a criminal defense giant, we can answer any questions you have.
What's up, everybody? It's Peter Tragos, the Lawyer You Know, and people have been asking for an Alex Murdaugh update, and I've been waiting for something to happen before making a video, but it seems like we are about to get murder charges for his son and wife. So we're going to talk about those charges today and give a little background about this case and why it is so wild and will absolutely be something you want to follow. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that subscribe button now and like the video if you're interested in this content. And you may like the video a little later on once you hear about this totally insane story. Alex Murdaugh is a big-time prominent, was, and his family were big-time prominent lawyers in South Carolina, so big that the location where they lived and practiced was known as Murdaugh country. Well, in June of 2021, on 1,700 acres of land owned by Alex Murdaugh and his family, he found his son and wife shot to death. They were shot with two different guns, and he was gone from the premises earlier that day and returned to find their bodies. He called 911, sobbing and screaming with a high-pitched voice, and initially was not thought of as a person of interest because he was who he was. It also seems very strange that they would be shot with two different guns if there was only one shooter. So all of these details kind of lead you to believe that it probably wasn't him. It would be too crazy of a story for him to do all of this setup, lie to the police, call 911 on something that he did on his property. It just didn't make sense. But it seems as if reports are coming out that either this week or next week, a grand jury will in fact indict Alex Murdaugh on murder charges for his wife and son. And they could carry the death penalty depending on the facts and circumstances surrounding these charges. So it's going to be very serious. These also seem like charges he is going to fight. And that differentiates them from some of the other charges we're about to talk about. And I'm going to explain some other things that have happened in Alex Murdaugh's life that may lead you to believe this story makes a little more sense than it did at first, and why authorities and prosecutors and law enforcement may be more inclined to believe that Alex Murdaugh went through all this trouble calling 911 on something he may have done on his own property, being the person that found the crime. Because Alex Murdaugh is now buried in litigation, in fraud charges, in setups, and potentially lying to law enforcement officers. The first crazy story Alex Murdaugh is mixed up in, being a lawyer, his housekeeper tripped and fell downstairs at one of his properties. So what does Alex Murdaugh do? He connects her family, because she eventually died, he connects her family with some lawyers he knows to sue his own homeowner's insurance, which, in case you don't know, that's a conflict. You can't help somebody and get a referral fee suing your own insurance company because as the insured, you can't collect from that. But he does it anyways. And come to find out, when they do get a rather large settlement, he hides certain aspects from his housekeeper's family and ends up stealing the money through shell corporations, using his power and influence potentially over judges and lawyers and different companies and banks in his jurisdiction to steal this money. Those are charges coming towards Alex Murdaugh. Committing fraud. Even worse than that, it turns out he's in a mountain of debt. And he's been embezzling and stealing money from his law firm and from his clients for years. At least these are the accusations. There have been 15 state grand jury indictments containing 79 different charges against Alex Murdaugh. He defrauded victims for over $8.5 million. And there still may be more to come. Buried and fraud and theft charges, taking advantage of victims. And again, fraud charges, potentially lying to banks, lying to lawyers, lying to judges, doing shady things to his housekeeper and his clients. Those are all what we call acts of moral turpitude. But none of them are as crazy as the last story I'm going to tell you about Alex Murdaugh. One day he calls the cops saying he's been brutally attacked on the side of the road and someone tried to kill him. He goes into the police station, gives a statement, explains, he shows his injuries, explains what happened. And then it turns out, once they get this perpetrator, we find out he's in fact Alex Murdaugh's drug dealer. And Alex Murdaugh paid this man to kill him because he wanted to commit suicide but wasn't able to do it on his own. So he hired his drug dealer to kill him so that he could commit insurance fraud and get a life insurance policy and collect that for his son, so his son would be left with some money because Alex Murdaugh knew the debt that he had created, the mountain he was buried under. And even, I believe, admitted some of this to the cops later. After creating and fabricating one story completely, he ends up telling the truth, at least in part from some of the reports, that this is actually what happened. And another crazy twist and turn of karma is that he did this in order to bypass an exclusion in his life insurance policy for suicide. You get life insurance, you kill yourself, there's an exclusion. However, that exclusion had lapsed. That exclusion didn't last forever in his life insurance policy, so he could have just killed himself and gotten the life insurance policy for his son, instead of creating and fabricating this entire story and being the one to call the cops and alert law enforcement to the attack that happened to Alex Murdaugh on the side of the road. So is it really so crazy to think that he did this to his family and still called the cops and reported it and still made a statement and was still crying and acting under distress? We like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Innocent until proven guilty. But all of these charges, all of these crimes of moral turpitude, all of the admissions he's made in this other case are going to affect law enforcement, prosecutors, and potentially a jury in these murder charges. How could someone do something like this? Then how could they try to cover it up like this? How could they lie to law enforcement and call and report crimes that didn't happen, or report them in a way they know is false? It seems like all of this is pointing towards Alex Murdaugh just losing it and making one bad decision after another. Now, we'll see what evidence comes out of his innocence, if any exists. We'll see what his lawyers and his team can put together with these murder charges. Because in all the other cases, it seems like the evidence overwhelmingly points against Alex Murdaugh. But that's what the justice system is for. And that's why we get to see the evidence from both sides. We see a level playing field, and we see if this is just a guy that has had some unfortunate things happen to him and actually he's innocent of some of these crimes. We'll be open to that. But if not, this is despicable and disgraceful for lawyers to take advantage of people, to commit these crimes, to commit these cover-ups. And this is truly one of the wildest stories I have ever heard in my life. So if you're interested in this story, hit the like button now so I know that this is content you'd be interested in. And let me know any comments or questions you have below. And if you want me to do a live and answer your questions live on video, as I've done with other cases, because there are so many different legal aspects to this case, from fiduciary duties to fraud, to what your duty is to your clients, to what your duty is to your insurance company, to lying to law enforcement. What charges could come from that? Death penalty or not based on this? Does he have enough money for a private lawyer? It seems the answer to that is yes at this point, or maybe he's getting help from some family money. I didn't even talk about the DUI boat crash from his son, which is another aspect and just another story to this. And I've done other videos on this topic, so check out our page, check out the Alex Murdaugh playlist. Go back and listen for more details on these cases individually. I broke them down in detail. But it seems like murder charges are coming, and that is a case we are going to focus on and break down and continue if you guys are interested in it. So thanks for watching this video. Hit the like button on the way out and let me know what you thought below in the comment section.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you like this content, please share it with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to our page and like our videos. If you want some interaction, get in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you. If you want to know any more information about our firm or this page, you can find out in the description or visit tragoslaw.com. We post multiple times throughout the week, so make sure you hit that bell so you can get the notification and not miss out on the next episode.